Samir called me on a Thursday evening and said, "I need you to not come to my wedding." Just like that, no apology in his voice, no acknowledgement of what we had been to each other for 3 years. He said, "It would make things complicated. I think it's better if you just stay away." And then he said, "I hope you understand." I said, "I understand." I understood completely. What I did not tell him, what I let him find out on his own 4 weeks later when his wedding coordinator called my office to confirm the final catering brief and accidentally put me on the line with him, was that the venue he had booked for his wedding was mine. The silence on the phone when he heard my voice answer Ahan Kapoor, Riaz Events, was the specific silence of a man who has just understood that the universe has a very precise sense of humor. I let the silence sit for exactly 4 seconds. And then I said, "Hello, Samir, I believe we need to talk about your floral arrangement." Part 1, 3 years and a Thursday call. My name is Ahan Kapoor and I want to tell you about Samir and me with honesty because the story deserves it and because the honesty is what separates it from the simpler version. Samir Rathore and I had been in each other's lives for 3 years, not as partners, not in any defined way, which was always the problem. We had met through a mutual friend at an industry networking event when I was 28 and he was 30. We were both in hospitality in adjacent ways. I was building what would become Riaz Events, a boutique wedding and events venue in Delhi, and he was in hotel management, working toward a general manager position at a 5-star property. We had talked for 2 hours at that event about hospitality, about what it was supposed to be, about the gap between what events did for people and what they could do. The connection had been immediate in the way that certain professional connections are immediate. You recognize someone who thinks about the same things you think about. We had exchanged numbers. We had had coffee the following week. And then, gradually, over 3 years, something had become what it was without either of us fully naming it. I will tell you what it was. It was the thing that is most difficult to describe because it existed in the space that people leave undefined when the definition would require a conversation they are not ready to have. It was dinners that ran 3 hours too long. It was the specific way he would call me at 11 at night when something had gone well or badly and I was the first person he called. It was the Saturday afternoons at my office when the venue was quiet and he would sit across from me while I worked and we would talk about everything and nothing. It was the way he knew how I took my coffee and the way I knew what he meant before he finished sentences. I had been clear about what I was for a long time. I had never been unclear with myself. I had been unclear with him not through dishonesty, through the specific patience of someone who understood that the other person had something to work through and who was waiting with more patience than was probably wise for the working through to complete. 3 years. The Thursday call had been the end of the waiting. He was getting married. He was marrying a woman named Priya who was respectable and appropriate in the ways that his family required. He had been moving toward this for a year. I had felt it in the increasing distance, the calls getting less frequent, the Saturday afternoons ending. I had understood what was happening. I had not said anything because saying it would have required saying the larger thing, and I had not been ready to be the one to say it. The call had said it for both of us. Stay away, it would make things complicated. I had said I understand. And I did. Part 2, RIYAZ. I want to tell you about Riaz Events before I tell you about the 4 weeks, because Riaz is the container for everything. I had been building Riaz for 5 years. It was a boutique events venue in a converted Haveli in Mehrauli, not the largest property in Delhi's events landscape, not the most glamorous in the way that certain properties are glamorous. It was the most carefully considered. I had taken the Haveli, which had been in slow decline for 15 years, and had renovated it with the specific intention of making a space that understood what it was there to host, not a backdrop for photographs. A space that took the events it hosted seriously, that understood that a wedding was not a logistics problem but one of the most emotionally significant days in someone's life, and that the space owed something real to that significance. The renovation had taken 2 years and most of my savings and the specific focused energy of someone who had found the right thing and was going to do it correctly. I had worked with architects who understood heritage conservation. I had sourced materials that were honest to the building. I had designed the spaces, the main courtyard, the smaller intimate garden, the dining hall with its restored frescoes, with the understanding that the space should feel like it had always been beautiful rather than like something that had been made beautiful recently. Riaz had a reputation now, not enormous boutique, which meant the clients who came were the clients who wanted what we specifically offered, The waiting list for peak season was significant. The vendors we worked with were the best in the city. My general manager was a man named Dev who had been with me from the second year, and who ran the operational side of the venue with the precision that operational sides require. My events director was a woman named Sunita who had 15 years of Delhi wedding experience, and who knew every family in the city that was likely to book a venue like ours. I had been in my office reviewing the upcoming season's events when Sunita had come in and said, "There's a complication with the Rathore Sharma wedding." I had looked up. "What kind of complication?" I had said. She had said, "The groom is asking to speak to the venue owner directly. His coordinator called about the catering brief and he came on the line and asked to be connected to whoever is in charge." I had looked at her. "What name did he give?" I said. "Samir Rathore," she said. I had been quiet for a moment. "I'll take the call," I had said. Part 3: The phone call. Sunita had transferred the line. I had waited for the click of the transfer, then I had said, "Ahan Kapoor, Riaz Events." The silence had lasted exactly 4 seconds. Then Ahund. His voice, the specific quality of it which I had heard in hundreds of contexts over 3 years and which I could identify in exactly one word. "Hello, Samir," I had said. "I believe we need to talk about your floral arrangement." Another silence, shorter. "You own Riaz," he said. "I do," I said. "We booked Riaz," he said. "Yes," I said. "Priya found it," he said. Her coordinator, researched venues. "It's a good venue," I said. "Priya has good taste." "Ahun," he said. "Yes," I said. "I called you," he said. 3 weeks ago I asked you to stay away from your wedding," I said. "Yes." "And you own the venue," he said. "I do," I said. I heard him exhale, the specific exhale of someone who is processing something and has not yet decided what to do with it. "We can discuss the practical options," I said. "You can cancel the booking. There's a cancellation policy which I can have my team send you, though at this stage the non-refundable deposit is significant. Or you can proceed with the booking and I can ensure that my involvement is entirely professional and managed through my team. You would not need to see me at the event." "Which do you recommend?" he said. "The venue is fully prepared for your event," I said. "The team is excellent. The catering brief is almost finalized. Canceling at this stage would create significant disruption for your planning timeline." A pause. "I recommend proceeding." "And you would," he started. "Be entirely professional," I said. "I'm very good at my job, Samir. Whatever else we are or were, that has always been true." Another exhale. "Okay," he said. "Good," I said. "I'll have Sunita call your coordinator to finalize the catering brief. Is there anything else you need from me directly?" A pause. "No," he said. "I think no." "Perfect," I said. "We look forward to hosting your wedding." I had ended the call. I had sat in my office for 10 minutes doing nothing. Then I had gotten back to work. Part 4: KIN. Before the 4 weeks of wedding preparation and everything that happened in them, I need to tell you about Kayan. Kayan Malhotra had been my close friend for 4 years, closer than most, which was the result of specific circumstances. He had been the mutual friend through whom I had met Samir at the networking event. He was 34 now, 2 years older than me, and worked as an architect with a firm that occasionally collaborated with Riaz on renovation and space planning. He had been at the event, he had introduced us, and he had been watching what happened between Samir and me for 3 years with the specific attention of someone who cared about both people involved. He had also been, for those 3 years, the person I talked to when the thing with Samir was difficult, which was often, because the thing with Samir was definitionally difficult. He had listened with the patience that real friends bring to things that are complicated. He had said things directly when they needed to be said directly, and had been silent when silence was more useful. When Samir had called on the Thursday, I had called Kayan an hour later. He had answered and said, "Tell me." I had told him. He had been quiet for a moment. "How do you feel?" he had said. "Clear," I had said, "like a window has been cleaned." "Is that good?" he had said. "I don't know yet," I had said. He had come over. We had sat in the Riaz courtyard in the evening. I lived in an apartment attached to the venue, one of the decisions I had made when converting the Haveli, the owner's quarters, above the main hall. We had sat in the courtyard with the old stone around us and I had told him the full version. He had listened. When I finished, he had said, "He chose the safe thing." "Yes," I had said. The family-approved thing, he had said. Yes, I had said. And he had paused. I'm clear, I had said, it's done. 3 years of undefined is done and that's, I had stopped. What, he had said. It's sad, I had said, that's what it is, sad and clear both at once. Kyan had been quiet. What are you going to do, he had said. Build something, I had said, I'm going to build something real. He had nodded. 3 days later, the Riaz venue had received the Rathore Sharma booking and Kyan had found out from a mutual acquaintance. He had texted me, the universe is not subtle. I had replied, no, it is not. Part 5, the 4 weeks. I want to tell you about the 4 weeks of wedding preparation because the preparation is where the story lives. I had told Sunita that I would handle the Rathore Sharma account personally, not to maintain control over Samir for the opposite reason. Because I was a professional and this was my venue and the event deserved to be handled correctly, and the only way to ensure that was to be the one handling it. Anything less would have been allowing the personal situation to affect the quality of the work, which was not something I was willing to do. The first in-person meeting was a week after the phone call. Standard pre-event walkthrough, the venue, the spaces, the catering finalization, the timeline. Samir came with his wedding coordinator. Priya, I was told, was not present. She had sent a detailed brief through the coordinator and would come for the final walkthrough closer to the date. I met them in the main courtyard. Samir looked like he had been thinking about this meeting since the phone call. He was well-dressed, professionally composed, the specific composed quality of a man who has prepared for a difficult context and has the tools to manage it. He had always been good in professional contexts. It was one of the things I had always recognized about him. He shook my hand. Ahun, he said. Samir, I said, welcome to Riyaz, I'm glad you're here. The professionalism was real, not performed. I genuinely wanted this event to be good, for Priya who had chosen the venue, for the families who would gather here, for the event itself. What had happened between Samir and me was separate from the event. I was capable of maintaining that separation and I did. I walked them through the spaces. I talked about the Haveli's history, the renovation philosophy, the way we had designed the spaces to serve different parts of an event program. The coordinator asked good questions. Samir asked one question about the lighting in the main courtyard, and when I answered it he was looking at the courtyard and not at me, which told me he was doing the same thing I was doing, keeping the professional frame. At the end of the walkthrough, the coordinator had gone to take calls, and Samir and I had been briefly, unexpectedly alone in the small garden off the east wing. He looked at the garden, I looked at the garden. You built this, he said. 5 years, I said. It's extraordinary, he said. Thank you, I said. I didn't know, he said. You knew I was building something, I said. You sat in this office every Saturday for a year while I was building it. I knew it was your work, he said. I didn't know what it had become. Because you stopped coming on Saturdays, I said, quietly, accurately. He was quiet. Ahun, he said. We don't have to do this, I said. The venue is good, your event is going to be good, that's what matters right now. He looked at me. Is it, he said. What, I said. Is that what matters right now, he said. I looked at him, at the man who had called me on a Thursday and said stay away. At the man I had waited for with more patience than was probably wise for 3 years. Your wedding is in 3 weeks, I said. Yes, that is what matters right now. He looked away. Yes, he said, you're right. We went back to the professional. Part 6, the second meeting. Priya came to the second walkthrough. She was exactly what I had expected from 3 years of second-hand information, warm, organized, with the specific energy of someone who cared about doing things right and who had the competence to do them right. She walked through the venue with the attention of someone who had made a careful choice and was confirming it was the right one. She liked Riyaz, she said so directly, which I appreciated. She had specific ideas about the floral arrangements in the main courtyard, about the lighting for the reception, about the placement of the family seating. Her ideas were good, I worked with her on them. Samir was quieter in this meeting. He deferred to Priya on the decisions, which was appropriate. This was her vision of the event and he was supporting it. But I noticed in the moments when my attention was on Priya and his attention was not required that his attention was elsewhere, not on his phone. On the courtyard, the fresco in the dining hall, the small garden where we had stood alone. On me sometimes, briefly. I did not acknowledge it. After the meeting, walking Priya and Samir to the gate, Priya had said, "Your venue is exactly what I imagined. I'm so glad we found it." She had looked at Samir. "Don't you think it's perfect?" "Yes," Samir had said. He had been looking at the gate, not at the venue. "It's exactly right." I had watched them leave. I had gone back to my office. Kyan had texted, "How was the meeting?" I had replied, "Professional." He had replied, "That's not what I asked." I had not replied immediately. Then he looked at me the way he always looked at me. Kyan, of course he did. Me, he's getting married in 2 weeks. Kyan, I know. Me, it doesn't matter. Kyan, okay. Me, it doesn't. Kyan, ahun. Me, what? Kyan, I know. Part 7. The evening before. I need to tell you about the evening before the wedding because it was the evening that changed the shape of everything. 2 days before the wedding, there was a standard pre-event setup check, the flowers being arranged, the lighting being tested, the catering team doing their prep walkthrough. This was routine. The venue team handled it and I was available for questions but not typically present. Samir came. Not with Priya, not with the coordinator, alone. He arrived at 7 in the evening when the setup was in progress. My security team had logged him in and flagged me because he had asked for me specifically. I had come down from the apartment above. He was in the main courtyard. The florists had put the first of the arrangements up, the jasmine and marigold strands that Priya had chosen, which were beautiful, and which made the courtyard smell the way the courtyard smelled at this time of year anyway, just more so. The lights were being tested, the warm gold light that Priya had specified, and the courtyard in that light with the flowers and the old stone was extraordinary. Samir was standing in the middle of it. He heard me come in. He turned. "I know I should have called," he said. "It's all right," I said. "Is there something you need for the setup?" "No," he said, "everything is perfect, your team is excellent." "Then what can I do for you?" I said. He looked at me for a long moment. "I needed to see you," he said, "not the venue, you." I looked at him. "Samir," I said. "I know," he said. "I know what I'm about to say is wrong to say 2 days before my wedding. I know, I'm saying it anyway." "Don't," I said. "Ahund." "Don't," I said again more clearly. He was quiet. "You called me on a Thursday," I said. "You said stay away, you said it would make things complicated, you said you hoped I understood." "I know what I said," he said. "I understood," I said. "I understood exactly. I understood that you had made your choice and that the choice was not," I stopped. "Not me, and I respected that, I am respecting it. This venue, this event, my team, we are going to give you and Priya the most beautiful wedding this city has produced this season, because that's what this place does, it does its job completely." He was looking at me. "But I am not going to stand in this courtyard 2 days before your wedding and listen to you say things that should have been said 3 years ago," I said. "That is the one thing I am not going to do." The courtyard was quiet. The florists had finished the section they were working on and moved to the next. The lights were steady. "You deserved better from me," he said. "For 3 years you deserved someone who could say the thing I couldn't, and then I made the choice I made because it was the one I could make." "I know," I said. "I'm sorry," he said. I looked at him, this person I had waited for, patiently and unwisely, for 3 years. This person who had called on a Thursday and said stay away. "I accept your apology," I said. "Genuinely, and I need you to go home now, Samir. Go home and be present for your wedding. Be present for Priya, who chose this venue because she has good taste and who has no idea that the venue owner is the person you asked to stay away. She deserves someone who is present." He looked at the courtyard. "Yes," he said. "Go home," I said. He went. I stood in the courtyard alone for a long time. The jasmine and marigold were extraordinary in the evening light. Part 8. The wedding day. The wedding happened. I want to be honest about this, it was a beautiful wedding. Priya was radiant. The families were warm. The courtyard was exactly what it had been designed to be, the space where something important happened to specific people and that took that importance seriously. I was present professionally and invisible personally. I managed the event from the periphery the way a good venue director manages, visible when needed, absent when not. My team was excellent. The catering was right. The lighting was right. The jasmine and marigold were exactly as specified. Samir and Priya stood in the courtyard I had built and got married. I watched from the gallery above the main hall for exactly 2 minutes. Then I went back to the office and did the administrative work that waited for no one. Kyan texted at 9 in the evening, "How are you?" I replied, "Working." He replied, "I'm coming over." I replied, "You don't have to." He replied, "I'm already in the car." He came. We sat in the small garden, not the courtyard, the small garden where Samir and I had been alone during the first walkthrough. The wedding sounds were audible from here, distant, warm, the specific sound of a celebration in full. We sat with tea and said very little. "It's done," Kyan said. "Yes," I said. "How do you feel?" he said. "Clear," I said, same word as the Thursday night, but a different kind of clear. "Which kind?" he said. "The kind where the thing you were hopping might not be finished is finished," I said. "The kind where you know something is done and you can stop waiting for it to become something else." He nodded. "What comes next?" he said. I looked at the old stone of the garden wall, the specific honest beauty of a thing that had been built carefully, and that was exactly what it was supposed to be. "Something real," I said, "that's what comes next." Part 9 After. 3 months after the wedding. I want to tell you about the 3 months because the 3 months are where the story really lives. I had, in the weeks after the wedding, done the thing I had said I was going to do. I had built something. Not the venue Riaz was built, something else. The specific work of becoming fully present in my own life in the way that 3 years of waiting for someone else's readiness had prevented. I had said yes to things I had been saying maybe to. A collaboration with a heritage restoration nonprofit that wanted to use Riaz for an annual fund event. I had been interested in it for a year and had not fully committed. I committed. I had been asked to speak at an industry conference about sustainable venue design and had been uncertain. I accepted. I had a standing coffee with an old university friend who had been asking to reconnect for months. I made the coffee. I was, in the language I had used to Kyan in the courtyard, building something. Kyan came by most Thursdays. We had over the years established Thursdays as the day we talked properly, not the check-in texts and quick calls but the proper conversation. Thursday evenings in the Riaz garden with tea or, depending on the season, something warmer. I want to tell you about what I noticed about Kyan in those months because it is the thing I had been not noticing for 4 years and that the space created by the end of the waiting had made visible. He was always there, not in the performed way of someone who wants credit for showing up, in the structural way, the way that things are there when you stop looking for them because they have simply always been there. He had introduced me to Samir 4 years ago. He had listened to 3 years of the thing with Samir. He had come over on the Thursday night. He had come over on the wedding night. He was at the Thursday garden conversations every week. I noticed things, the way he talked about his work, the architecture, the specific love of how spaces worked and what they owed to the people in them, which was the same conversation I had with Riaz. The way he noticed things about the venue, not with the eye of a guest but with the eye of someone who understood what had gone into it and who saw the decisions behind the details. The way he was when the professional framing fell away, which happened most reliably on Thursday evenings in the garden. I had been filing this for 4 years. Part 10 The Thursday That Changed. It was a Thursday in the second month after the wedding. We had been talking about a project Kyan was working on, a renovation of a colonial-era school building in Delhi, the kind of project he found genuinely interesting, the intersection of historical preservation and contemporary use that was his specific domain. He had been describing the challenges, the structural questions, the preservation requirements, the negotiations with the client about what to keep and what to change. "You sound like me talking about Riaz," I had said. He had looked at me. "Do I?" he had said. "The thing about what the space owes to the people in it," I had said. "The refusal to change things that should stay, the patience with the process." "You taught me that," he had said. "What?" I had said. "Watching you build this place," he had said. "The way you talked about it, I was already an architect, I had the technical vocabulary, but the way you talked about what a space was for, what it owed, that changed how I thought about the work." I had looked at him. "Kyan," I had said. "Yes," he had said. "How long have you been watching me build this place?" I had said. "Since before it was a place," he had said, "since it was a ruined Haveli and a plan." 5 years, I had said. "Yes," he had said. "And the Samir thing," I had said, 3 years of that, you watched that too." "Yes," he had said. "You never said anything," I had said. He had looked at the garden wall. "I was going to," he had said. "A few times, and then I thought you needed to see where it went. If I said something before it was finished, it would have felt like interference. like I was moving pieces instead of letting you make your own move. I had looked at him. You were waiting, I had said. Yes, he had said. For it to be finished, I had said. Yes, he had said. I had sat with this? 4 years. He had been there for 4 years and had been watching and had been waiting with the specific patience of someone who had decided that the right thing was to let the other person arrive at their own clarity. Kyan, I had said. Yes, he had said. The thing I said to Kyan on the Thursday night, I had said, that I was going to build something real. I've been building. I know, he had said, I've been watching. I've been filing something, I had said, for a while. He had met my eyes. I know, he had said, I've been filing the same thing. The garden was quiet around us. The Thursday evening deli sounds over the Haveli walls, the specific warm dark of the old stone at this hour. Why didn't you say something, I had said, before now? Because you needed to say it, he had said. Not me, I'm not going to be the thing that moves because I want to move. I'm going to wait until you're ready to say it yourself. That's a very patient philosophy, I had said. I've had good company while being patient, he had said. I had looked at him. 4 years of Thursday evenings, 4 years of the person who was always there. I'm done filing, I had said. I know, he had said. I'm saying it, I had said. Clearly, not because the Samir thing ended and you're available by default, because I've been looking at what's actually in front of me and this has been in front of me and I wasn't seeing it. You were looking at something else, he had said, not with blame. I was, I had said, and now I'm not. He had looked at me for a long moment. Ahun, he had said. Yes, I had said. The venue is beautiful, he had said. You built something that understands what it's for. Not everyone can do that. I know, I had said. I want to build something that understands what it's for, he had said, with you. I had looked at him. Yes, I had said. Part 11, SAMER again. 2 months after the wedding, Samir called. Not in the Thursday way or the 3 years way. A brief, professional call. He and Priya had attended an event at Riyaz that a friend had booked and he had wanted to pass on the compliment directly. The venue had been exceptional, he said. Everyone had said so. Thank you, I had said. I'll pass it on to the team. A pause. Ahun, he had said. Yes, I had said. How are you, he had said. Good, I had said, genuinely. Good, he had said, you sound clear, I had said. Yes, he had said, you sound clear. I am, I had said, for the first time in a while actually. He had been quiet for a moment. I'm glad, he had said, quietly, the specific quiet of someone who means something that they cannot say more fully. How are you, I had said. Getting there, he had said. Priya is, she's good, we're figuring it out. Good, I had said, she deserves someone who's figuring it out. Yes, he had said. We had been quiet for a moment. I'm sorry, he had said, for the Thursday call, for 3 years of not saying things. I know, I had said. I accepted that apology in the courtyard, it still stands. Is there anything, he had started. No, I had said gently, there's nothing, it's done, Samir, and that's okay, both things. He had been quiet. Okay, he had said. Take care of yourself, I had said. You too, he had said. I had hung up, I had sat for a moment, and then I had texted Kyan. Samir called. Kyan, end. Me, it's done, all of it. Kyan, good. Me, come by Thursday. Kyan, I'll be there. Part 12, The Garden in October. 6 months after the Thursday that changed. I want to tell you what the garden looked like in October because October in Delhi is the specific season when the heat breaks and the city becomes what it should be. And the Riyaz garden in October is the reason I built this place. Kyan had taken on a formal advisory role with Riyaz. His architecture firm was doing a small expansion project on the venue, a new pavilion in the East Wing that we had been planning for 2 years and that had now reached the stage of being real. The professional context was real and was producing excellent work. What was outside the professional context was also producing something unhurried, attentive, the specific quality of 2 people who had been circling the same thing for a long time and who were now simply in it. The October Thursday had been the Thursday we had stopped being professional about the personal thing. Not dramatically in the specific October garden way, with the old stone around us and the Delhi sky above us in the season when the sky was worth looking at again. He had brought good coffee. He had learned how I took it 4 years ago and had never gotten it wrong. He set it on the garden table and sat across from me and said, "The pavilion drawings are done." "Can I see?" I said. He pulled out his laptop. He turned it toward me. The drawings were extraordinary. They were the drawings of someone who understood what Riaz was and what it owed, and who had designed something that was entirely in conversation with the Haveli, entirely new and entirely belonging. "Kayan," I said. "Yes," he said. "This is exactly right," I said. He met my eyes. "I know what the space is for," he said. I looked at him across the garden table, the October light on the old stone, the coffee getting slightly cooler, the specific feeling of being exactly where you are supposed to be. "You've been here," I said, "for 4 years while I was looking somewhere else." "Yes," he said. "The right thing is usually the closest thing," I said. "Sometimes," he said, "sometimes you have to look at the wrong thing first to see the right one clearly." I looked at him. "Is that what I did?" I said. "I don't think Samir was wrong," he said. "I think he was the thing you needed to work through before you could see what was already here." "That's generous," I said. "It's accurate," he said. "Kayan," I said. "Yes," he said. "I'm very glad you were patient," I said. He smiled, the full version of the smile, the one I had been seeing for 4 years without understanding what I was looking at. "I had good company while being patient," he said again. The October garden, the old Haveli around us, the pavilion drawings on the laptop, the coffee that was exactly right. I had built something that understood what it was for. So had he. Clapperboard final hook. He called me on a Thursday evening and said stay away from my wedding. I said I understand. And I did understand. I understood that 3 years of undefined had been defined finally in the cruelest possible way. What I did not tell him was that the venue he had booked was mine. He found out when the coordinator put us on the same call. The silence lasted 4 seconds. I let it. And then I said, "Hello, Samir. I believe we need to talk about your floral arrangement." I hosted his wedding. I built the courtyard where he stood and got married. I managed the jasmine and marigold and the gold lighting and the family seating arrangement with the total professional competence of someone who had decided that the work mattered regardless of what the work contained. And then it was done. And the window was clean. And the person who had been at every Thursday evening for 4 years was at the Thursday evening in October in the garden with pavilion drawings that were exactly right. I had been looking at the wrong thing. The right thing had been patient. Riaz is ready for the next season. The pavilion will open in spring. And on Thursday evenings in the October garden, someone brings the coffee exactly right and says, "I know what the space is for." He does. So do I. If this story found something you needed, if you've ever hosted something for someone who didn't see what was right in front of them, like it, share it with someone who is still waiting for the right window to open, and subscribe. Tell me in the comments, has the right thing ever been so close that you almost missed it? And one last question. 6 months from now, Kayan is at Riyadh for the pavilion opening. The whole industry is there. It is the event of the season. And Samir and Priya come. She is a client now. She has booked Riyadh for a family event, and she and I have built a professional relationship that is entirely clean and honest. And Samir sees Kayan and me in the new pavilion together. And he says something to Priya, something she tells me afterward. Should I tell you what he said? Part 2 is coming, eyes. Subscribe, you will not want to miss it. The Revenge Chronicles.